it's by the end of the day, it's going to be bad. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at is the Constitution. I know a lot of you have this in 8th grade, so it's a quick run through of what's important according to APUS. But the first convention was supposed to meet in Annapolis, and actually no one showed up. There was a couple of people who showed up. Alexander Hamilton does show up, and he was like, look, this is a good idea. We need to bolster the fabric of the Articles. So he's the one who suggested that we meet again in Philadelphia. So I know on question 19 it asks you about the role of those people. So under Hamilton, he saves the convention. Because the first convention, what? Just put he saved the convention. The first convention in Annapolis, did people show up? No. So he suggests that we do what? Have another one in Philadelphia. So just put he saves the convention. So eventually they will come in a year, people go back to their states and they send delegates. Only 55 come, 39 will eventually be here because it's Philadelphia. It's in the summer. It is hot like Texas and humid. So people leave and they close the doors. Okay? So I'm going to tell you about a couple of other people who come in. Washington is there. Washington serves as the chairman. And that seems really weird. You're like, what does a chairman do? Let me tell you what the chairman does. All you have to write is chairman. He is like the bouncer. Y'all know what a bouncer is, right? He's the person that makes sure who comes in is able to come in. Those people who are within the place, they act accordingly. Okay? So he's keeping the rule in order. Okay? We already know Hamilton, he did what? Save the convention. Madison, y'all probably know him, and y'all are going to say he's the father of the Constitution. Yes, that's what the book's going to say. But he's the guy who basically took down the nays and yays about if we were going to pass stuff. He just took down those votes. And many people were like, he's the father because taking those votes, he then takes a yes or a no and then writes the whole Constitution. So is the Constitution a lot of him? Yes. He just took the yays and the nays and took that and made the whole Constitution. So he's the father. He's actually the record keeper of the convention. The last guy is Ben Franklin. There is going to be some discord in this convention. A lot of this discord is going to be over sectional debate. Should we have slavery? How should we have representation? And people, this stuff's going to break up the convention. And when things get heated, Ben passes around the bottle, calms everybody down with the libation, and then makes everybody compromise. The book will say, don't write this down, he is an elder statesman. But what I want you to write down is he is our compromiser. Without him, the convention probably would have broken up. But he calmed everybody down, and he got everybody to agree to some partisan stuff. We're going to see some people who are missing. Do you see at the end of Ben Franklin, there's a little question to the left-hand side, who were the people who were missing? Right, radicals. Our radicals were missing. Sam Adams was not elected. He's a radical. Patrick Henry was actually elected, but refused to go. He said he smells a rat. He did not want to be involved in this atrocity of government. John Adams and Jefferson are actually overseas. But a lot of our radicals are not there. So I could definitely say that the Constitution was a conservative document because most of the people who come in are large landowners who are sending commerce overseas. They are bankers who are financing that commerce. They are merchants who are buying the commerce and selling the commerce, and lawyers and nationalists. Again, the Constitutional Convention was a group of conservatives who were concerned about commerce. Y'all got that alliteration again? Right? So they're coming together. We're going to see that, again, our radicals will become the anti-federalists who do not like this Constitutional Convention, and our conservatives will be the federalists who do like this. And those are just factions. A couple of the early decisions is they decided to keep this close to the public because if people figured out that we were changing the articles, would a group of people gotten upset? Yes, our radicals, and what was a radical group of people who have raised a mob together to deal with issues? Shays, and they were fearing that the people would come in. So they kept it close to the public. They kept things in a secret. They had armed guards, no press. There was no formal records of the debate, just the votes. We also see that they realized that we needed to create a new system of government because that unanimous vote under the Articles of Confederation was not going to allow for the nation to be have longevity. And so we see that they added they couldn't add more amendments to the article. So they're going to move around and they're going to agree that they're going to have a whole new document. And instead of going to the states, they would have 9 of the 13 agree to it, and it would become supreme law of the land. So we're going to look at is the structure. Strong central government. Is this the opposite of the articles? Articles, who do they keep strong? States. We're going to see it provide a national defense for Army and Navy. What issue would they probably need an Army and Navy that we saw during the articles? Shays Rebellion. Okay? They wanted to provide for an executive because they had none under the articles. They bring it in because do they need to have someone who is a chief in charge to deal with problems? Again, this is coming back to Shays. They need to pay off public debt because who do we owe money to? France. We also need to establish foreign credit and domestic credit because we owe nations, and did anybody want to loan us any more money? Again, both of these issues deal with commerce. We're going to see they wanted to protect property rights and protect property. Did this deal with Shays? Yes, because they were concerned about those foreclosures. They wanted to suppress uprisings. Again, what does this deal with? Shays. But do they really want to say that that convention was all about Shays? No, they're always going to say it was about what? Commerce. They also wanted to levy taxes, again, commerce. Levy taxes on imports to protect their commerce. They wanted to regulate foreign commerce. They wanted to regulate interstate commerce. Again, do we see a lot of commerce leading to this convention? Because these are very rich guys concerned about their pocketbooks. And also they're going to create a court system because that was lacking in the Articles of Confederation. So what we're going to do now is look at 20. This is going to be one of our compromises. Again, who is leading this compromise? Benjamin Franklin. And it dealt with 2 different plans for our Congress. One of them is the Virginia plan. And this is the large state plan. That is number 20 on your study guide. They want everything based on population. Okay. This is good for the big states because they would get more representatives. Would it be good for y'all if y'all were a state? No, because that would mean you would have what? Less, because this class has only 20 people in it. We would have less representation. Unlike my class of 30, second period, they would have more representation. Just imagine, I were to bring in a piece of cake in this class. Would y'all be happy? Yes. Yes, because you would get a bigger slice of the pie, right? And y'all would actually like our New Jersey plan because New Jersey gives equality to all. That's the next one, 21, right? Yes. And this is like the cake. I bring the same sheet cake in. Y'all get bigger slices. That's nice. That's what this allows. Equality. So you would have more of that vote because you get more of the piece of the cake. However, my second period, that's about 30, would they get a big slice? Mm-hmm. Their slice would be smaller. And that cake is supposed to be an analogy to their vote. So if we had equality in vote, second period's vote would be a lot per person. It would be more or less. Less. However, y'all's, that vote would be more. And this is what the big state said was not fair. So again, they're about to break up, and who's that guy that comes in and deals with both of these plans? Mm-hmm. And this is what leads to what we have on question 22, the Great Compromise. This is 22. The final decision that the states will have equal representation in the House, in the Senate. Whose plan is that? Is that large states or small states? Small. And by population in the House. And the other term of this Great Compromise is that all money bills will originate in the House. So when Donald Trump needs money, he has to go to Nancy Pelosi. And has he ever given Nancy Pelosi a bad name? No. No, because she controls the money. Everybody else has a nickname, right? Pocahontas, which Elizabeth Warren. Joey B, he's Sleepy Joe, right? Everybody has a nickname. But he has not given Nancy Pelosi a nickname because she controls the money. And he wants money from her to be able to do what? Everything, do stuff. So that's why Nancy Pelosi does not have a nickname. because she controls the money, and this compromise is what allows her to control, because she is the Speaker of the House. So do y'all now understand why Nancy doesn't have a nickname? She's the power of the purse. Y'all remember the power of the purse? Yeah. Okay. Okay. There is another sectional debate, which is number 23, which a lot of you are like, oh, I know the first part of that, the 3/5 compromise, right? But we probably don't know about the slave trade compromise that comes with it. Okay, we're going to see there is an issue between the merchants in the north and the slaveholders in the south. The slaveholders want their slaves to be represented, but many people in the north are saying, you are counting them as property, they are not real citizens. And they said, if you count those people that you say is property as citizens, that will distort and give you more representation in the house. And the merchants in the north are like, if you count your slaves, I should be able to count my horses. I know that sounds really bad. That is verbatim the book, okay? But looking at this, the South is trying to increase its representation in the House to get more what? Votes. And so what will come out is that this nearly broke out the convention. But again, who's that guy that's going to come in? Ben is going to come in, and he says, okay, let's figure out how to count them. And it said he's going to say every 5 slaves will count as 3 whites for representation, or what y'all know, every slave is 3/5 of a person, okay? The other thing is the slave trade compromise. Most of you know this first part, C, but many of you don't know the second part of 23, which dealt with the slave trade compromise. There would be a $10 tax on slaves imported. And lastly, they're going to ban the slave trade after 1807. And many people were like, banning the slave trade, this is a vibrant thing. Actually, slavery was dying out at this time. We have become so efficient at producing tobacco that many people were like, well, we really don't need slave labor anymore. And many of y'all know that slavery will be revived with what invention? The cotton gin. But now, that cotton gin is developed after this time period. Its dependency is after that. So this will lead us to other stuff we'll talk in chapter 16 about how do we get the slave population to increase if we can no longer import. Okay? And this is going to be natural reproduction. Okay. So y'all got this. It's the rest of 23. I'm going to have to move on. Other provisions, Congress can only coin money. And this is what's going to create that uniform system because the states were all producing different money. The Constitution will become supreme law of land when 9 of the 13 agree to it. Congress had the sole power to make treaties, enact tariffs, declare war. Again, this is the stuff that he has to go to. Every time the president wants to do any of this, he has to go to them or it's a violation of his power. We're seeing states cannot raise armies without the federal government's permission. Last thing, this one you have to know is it's not on your study guide. The only place it is on this notes, and you will be tested on this. This test and even next test. This should be your next favorite clause next to Santa Claus. Okay? The elastic clause. This says, and they realized that this document would ever be evolving because of this clause, because there would be some things that would happen in the future that they couldn't even think about. So this elastic clause allowed Congress that it could make any necessary law to be able to carry out its present role. So Congress can make rules over the internet even though back in 1780s they had no perception of the internet. They could regulate that because it's commerce, okay? And so this allows Congress to come in and start, are they investigating people like Facebook, Twitter, for their involvement in an election, right? This allows them to do it because they had no perception that the internet would have been created then. So Congress has the authority to stretch the Constitution to be able to make it fit for that situation. Again, it is extending their implied powers, but this allows the Constitution to be an evolving document to that we don't have to go back and overthrow it like we did with the Articles, right? And that was their whole thing, that they don't have to get rid of that first edition. They could keep it going and just add to it, and this is why we will get amendments. Okay, what we're gonna do now is you need to get 2 different colors of highlighters.